What is happening, Magnus sites? It looks like Disney is betting big on Deadpool and Wolverine. I loved the trailer. You loved the trailer. Everyone loved the trailer. Wow. But will it save or destroy Marvel? Let's find out, shall we?
Deadpool. In a superhero genre bogged down by bloated budgets, convoluted interconnected narratives, ridiculously over-the-top visual spectacle, tedious quippy humour, and increasingly stale characters, there was one series that dared to take a very different approach. Refreshingly inventive, irreverent, self-contained, self-aware, R-rated and genuinely funny, Deadpool was an absolute breath of fresh air when it burst onto the scene back in 2016.
I was going to say, when this came out, wasn't everything good, though? You know, for the most part. I forgot when. Because I know when it started going downhill, it was mainly started with Captain Marvel. And, you know, then they put a little bit of stuff in game, and then after that, it was just, ooh! I can't remember. But I think at least the first one came out when things were good. I know that.
It was a film that finally figured out how to use Ryan Reynolds to his full potential, and damn man, he really went all in with this one, allowing him to play Deadpool the way he was written in the comics. Unlike, you know... A sequel came along a couple of years later, which was... Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as fresh and innovative as the first movie, and some of the jokes definitely started to wear thin after a while, but I think it mostly held up pretty well. Unfortunately, plans for a third movie were shelved after Disney did what Disney does best, bought up 20th Century Fox so they could shamelessly exploit all the IPs under its banner. Years went by, and not a whole lot happened, and it began to seem less and less likely that Deadpool 3 would ever get made. Ryan Reynolds was getting older, and superhero movies were rapidly fallen out of favour. But then last year, in typical Ryan Reynolds fashion, he casually dropped the news that Deadpool 3 was finally going ahead, and even better, Hugh Jackman was going to be reprising his role as Wolverine. Now I have to admit, this seemed like good news at the time, because it marked the cinematic culmination of the biggest bromance in Hollywood history.
I got a question, guys. Let me run it back here. There we go. I got a question. You know, we as fans, and it happens because fans do this to me, or followers, or subscribers, whoever you want to, because I have a particular persona on camera. I'm the same guy off, however, not as much as you think. You got what I'm saying? It's me, but, you know, I'm hyped. I have a certain way that I deliver what I deliver on this, you know, on camera. You know, and I've had people say to me, you know, wow, you know, man, I watch you all the time. You are such a chill, relaxed dude, man. You know, I'm so glad I met you. You know, If I were Hugh Jackman, but this is a fan looking at him, let me tell you something. I'd have had the Wolverine haircut for the rest of my life. I'd have been Wolverine. Like, they rehash his haircut in every movie, and they've made it different, for better or for worse. I think his best Wolverine haircut might have been the like something you could see somebody rocking out in public. I think the best one, I'm thinking right now, but I'm thinking the best one was the Wolverine. That one looked like it had like a modern take on the look. You understand what I'm saying? I've been rocking that all the time. He has a very nice businessman, pretty boyish type look right here with that haircut. Man, I'd have been mutton chops and all day, every day. That'd have been me. I'll tell you, I'm like, you know what? I like this. I might not have never wore it, but it might be a pain to actually do your hair like that. I want to see somebody actually putting together the Wolverine haircut. So our barber actually doing it on somebody to see what it looks like. I would like to see that, to see what it takes to actually get that man's hair like that. It'd be very interesting. But yeah, that's just me thinking out loud. Like, whenever I see him, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Hugh Jackman. It's like, a lot of times I forget. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? Like, He looks like such a nice guy, but when he's Wolverine, he has a Wolverine haircut. He looks like a dude with a brutal edge to him, man. Like, I wouldn't mess with him. You know what I'm saying? That guy, he might get some people messing with him in the street from time to time. However, Wolverine, like, he looks like an absolute killer like that.
Hollywood history, and one of the few remaining team-ups to generate actual fan interest, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it might also be a bit of a poison chalice. Yeah, it was nice to see Hugh Jackman wearing the claws again, because for me, and probably a lot of other people,
that's a good haircut
this Wolverine is kind of a throwback to a simpler, more innocent time in movie making, when the superhero genre was this cool and exciting new world of boundless possibilities. But after finally figuring out how to make the character work and then giving him a fitting send-off in Logan, did we really want to risk trampling on that legacy with a goofy comedy that might well crash and burn? And could a 55-year-old Hugh Jackman really get himself back into Wolverine shape, considering he was already noticeably showing his age in Logan 6 years earlier? Also, and this is the biggie, what were the chances that we'd get to see a proper R-rated, foul-mouthed Deadpool movie within the crushingly safe, family-friendly MCU framework?
Getting it.
Could such a thing actually happen, or would we end up with just another bland, neutered, depressingly formulaic Marvel movie that happened to be wearing a Deadpool skin suit? Well, we got our first hints about how the movie's shaping up during the Super Bowl last night with the first trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. Yup, they really want you to know that Wolverine's going to be in this one. Anyway, I digress. So we pick up with Wade Wilson, who's enjoying a nice birthday celebration, when suddenly the TVA from...
Swear to God, I thought that was a dream sequence. I was like, there's no way he's wearing that wig. There is no way. And I found out he's really wearing it, and I'm like, but that makes sense. It makes sense for Deadpool.
Loki show up. Not such an amazing start, guys. Referencing a TV show that most Deadpool fans probably haven't heard of and totally don't give a shit about. Although it definitely could have been improved massively if Wade had just fucking murdered all of them right there in the hallway. I've got to admit though, this one really did get to me.
It's funny.
You appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious.
Finally, I can feel represented on screen. So the gist seems to be that Loki is recruited by...
Yo, the way he said that and kept rolling, it was like, yo, what do you mean? You did that on purpose? While conscious?
The TVA to go off into alternate timelines and complete missions for them, i.e. he's leaving his own reality and travelling across the multiverse, leaving a trail of corpses in his wake. And by the looks of things, he might just run into an old pal along the way. Now, I have to admit, I'm surprised to be saying this about any Marvel product at this point, but this trailer actually looks pretty good. I like how it kicks off its setup with the kind of pompous, over-the-top dramatic monologue that you'd expect from Marvel trailers, only to switch into full-on Deadpool mode the moment he shows up. There's plenty of action, plenty of blood and gore, plenty of swearing and crude jokes and self-aware humour, and a kind of tacit acknowledgement that the MCU has become stale, predictable and played out, and that a character like Deadpool is exactly what it needs to get jolted back to life. The first step towards solving a problem truly is acknowledging that it even exists, and Deadpool could be the perfect vehicle for the MCU to poke fun at itself in a way that's actually funny and entertaining, instead of whatever the fuck She-Hulk was trying to be. Now, I've spent a lot of time shitting on the multiverse concept recently, because whatever the potential it might have had, it's pretty obvious that in the hands of lazy Marvel writers, it's devolved into a consequence-free sandbox where nothing matters anymore. Every character exists in a quantum state of being infinitely alive and dead, and for the most part it's just a lame excuse to work in some cheap cameos from other, better movies. And that definitely still holds true for films that at least pretend to be telling a serious story, but weirdly I think Deadpool might be the perfect way of tackling it. Because it's not bound by the same constraints as other Marvel films, it can truly cut loose and just have fun with the concept, throwing in all kinds of weird and wonderful variations on classic characters with no real concern about long-term repercussions. If you really have to do multiverses, I guess what I'm saying is this is probably the way to do it. Now, all of that being said, I'm going to go into this with a kind of wary optimism here, because as much as this has the superficial appearance of a Deadpool movie, I'm still not entirely convinced that it's going to be allowed to play out as one.
Like I said in my other video, I forgot which one I was talking about, but basically, I've said it in other videos, they can trick you with the trailer to lure you in to spend your money, and then while you're in the theater, you find out it's not what you thought it was. So, I remain wary, but I have high hopes that Ryan has made sure that this was made correctly. So, keep my finger crossed.
There's lots about the MCU to make fun of these days, and I don't doubt that Ryan Reynolds is very aware of the problems in the franchise.
He made fun of it in the trailer.
How far he'll actually be allowed to go with this one.
Like he's going to save
just imagine it for a second. Disney Marvel using the convenient framing device of a fictional character to openly poke fun at their own worst tendencies. The convoluted storylines, the forgotten plot points, the MCU, the endless political pandering and tediously predictable storylines, and having the balls to acknowledge...
Senator, you need to do better. Let's continue.
Acknowledge that yes, we've gone a bit too far with all this stuff, but we see that now and we're working to fix it. Yeah, I don't really see that happening either. Ultimately though, despite these misgivings, I can't say I'm too unhappy about what I've seen here. The trailer looks decent enough. The novelty of finally seeing Jackman and Reynolds reunited on screen is definitely going to be a crowd pleaser, and as one of the only high-profile superhero movies coming out this year, I think Deadpool 3 is probably going to do well at the box office, from sheer lack of competition if nothing else. Is it going to reinvigorate the tired MCU and usher in a new age of violent, edgy, R-rated superhero movies? Probably not. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably going to follow a similar pattern to Guardians 3, a movie with decent financial returns and good audience reception that can't really be exploited further down the line, and ultimately nothing more than a blip that does nothing to change the MCU's overall trajectory. But hey, at least it's something to look forward to in an otherwise bleak summer movie season. You've got the drinker's interest, Deadpool. Just try not to fuck it up now.
That's right.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
The same thing, man.
Deadpool.
Why did it start over? Same thing. Same thing. You got my interest. Don't F it up. And that's basically what I said in my reaction. So, post comments down below. Let me know what y'all think. Get over to The Drinker and subscribe. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. And let me know. Do you think this is going to be a hit? Yes or no? That rhymes. I hate to play, hate the game. Bars! 10 million subscribers. Woo!